The Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, has condemned the bomb explosions in Abuja and is asking security agencies to step up intelligence gathering activities. Dr. Saraki is asking Nigerians not to panic as he believes that the renewed attack are signs that their days of Boko Haram are numbered. He goes on to commend the security agencies for their quick response to the incident, especially the prompt evacuation of both the dead and injured to medical facilities where they are receiving medical attention. The Senate President says, quote, "To maintain peace, we need to step up the intelligence gathering machinery and get ordinary people to give useful information on suspicious movements by individuals, groups, or even unexplainable locations of objects and structures. This war against insurgency is one that all of us must cooperate with and support the military." End of quote. He's also appealing to Nigerians not to relent in their prayers and making critical intelligence available to security forces to aid them in their final onslaught against insurgency in the northeast and other affected parts of the country. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yakubu Dogara, has condemned yesterday's bombings. Speaker Dogara describes the attacks as callous and saddening. The Speaker adds that with the successes being recorded by the military in the northeast, it has become apparent that Boko Haram is facing imminent defeat after 6 years of terror reign in Nigeria. According to him, these well-coordinated and planned attacks were carried out to instill fear in the minds of the citizens. The Speaker says, quote, "While it is not in doubt that our society agencies and our security agencies are winning the war on terror, this kind of attacks shows that there is much to do about intelligence gathering and sharing." End of quote. Honorable Dogara believes that terrorism cannot be totally defeated with physical might, as terrorists resort to different means to carry out horrible and heinous acts such as these ones. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Solomon Arase, has asked Abuja residents and Nigerians elsewhere to remain calm, as police force is doing everything to ensure adequate security of lives and property. A statement issued by the force headquarters says that the perpetrators' action is cowardly, but that the nation will not succumb to such acts of terror. The police boss has also ordered an immediate deployment of police explosives ordnance disposal units to the scene to prevent further destruction. Mr. Arase is also appealing to Nigerians to be vigilant at all times and report any suspicious person or object to the nearest police station or any other security agencies for prompt investigation. The Edo State government has taken delivery of relief items for victims of recent floods in Edo State. Governor Atiku Bagudu received items on behalf of the state government. The relief items, which includes building materials, food items and medical facilities, were deployed to the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to redistribute to over 4,500 people displaced in Makera local government area. According to reports by NEMA, an estimated 21,450 people have been displaced by the flood disaster in Kebbi State, northwest of Nigeria. The report indicates that a total of 37,460 hectares of farmland covering about 10 local government areas of the state were also washed away by the floods.
Since the occurrence of the incidents, the state government has stepped on to provide support. We spent close to 200 million naira in providing immediate support so that the farmers can have succor, particularly during the Salah festivities. And what we are preparing to do that we feel will help better is to provide enough for dry season farming. People in Kebbi, particularly in Argungu area, where there was once a proposal to do a dam at Marina, they were very, very nervous, and we are indeed all, because we want expand output, we want to support the livelihood of our people. So we are resistant to that idea, and we have set up a committee to review the folder scheme, and in conjunction with Sokoto State Government, to see how best we can improve water management along the Fadama so that flooding will be minimized.
Well, we're still tracking the developments in Abuja as regards the Nyanya and Kuje bombings. As you know, the National Emergency Management Agency has had its hands full in the recent past 48 hours concerning this very unfortunate incident. I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by Mr. Labaran Ahman, the operations officer of NEMA Abuja. I want to thank you so much indeed for joining us on the news at 10. Tell us, how has it been 48 hours into that attack to this point? How have you been carrying out your operations? Give me an update.
Yeah, good evening, Nigerians. As you are aware, after the initial response for immediate evacuation, the Director General usually take charge of incidents like this and directed that we constitute assessment teams that will further examine the condition of the casualties for further support when the need arises.
You were on ground there, let's call it ground zero, when this happened. Tell us more. How prepared is the agency to handle this scale of attacks?
Yes, over the years from 2013 to date, the agency has repositioned emergency response centers to respond rapidly to incidents like this. Like what happened yesterday, as soon as we heard about the Kuje incident, we mobilized all our emergency response centers. While on the way to Kuje, we had another explosion in Nyanya. Then we had to re-strategize by deploying more resources from other stakeholders. As part of our mandate is to mobilize resources from stakeholders for emergency services.
Now, let's talk about your operations a little bit further. How many men do you suppose you have in terms of capacity building and your quick response to such kinds of incidents? Do you have that to go to the hinterlands in Abuja or or the neighboring areas close to Abuja? Do you have that kind of capacity to move ASAP and help people out?
NEMA is not a response agency, but rather a coordinating agency. So what we do, in every disaster scenario, we have a lead agency. For instance, if it is a fire incident, it's the fire service that will provide the lead. If it's like this case of bomb explosion, it's the Nigerian police that is providing the lead. So what we do is to mobilize all necessary support and resources to ensure that lives and properties are saved as much as possible and at a very quick and timely, on a very timely basis.
How do you suppose then that with your jurisdiction and your own job description, how are you able to rally around and get the cooperation of other people in Abuja in this case, to work with you to gain more results faster?
The agency over the years is organizing joint trainings among stakeholders and exercises for us to work together so as to establish strong synergies and collaborations when incidences like this happen, for us to respond effectively.
I want to thank you so much indeed, Mr. Labaran Ahman, the operations officer of NEMA Abuja, for your time and your thoughts. Many thanks indeed.
Thank you very much.
Well, over now to Adamawa State in Nigeria's northeast region, where Nigerians resident in the Central African Republic, the CAR, displaced by the armed conflict in that country, have finally returned to Nigeria. Numbering about 199, they were received by the National Emergency Management Agency and other security outfits in Sahuda, a border town between Nigeria and Cameroon. Conveyed in 6 coaster buses, the returnees arrived at the internally displaced persons camp in Bajibure, Yola, escorted by the military, where they were screened. The returnees were victims of the war in the Central African Republic who escaped into Cameroon and have been under the custody of the International Organization for Migration, who facilitated the evacuation from Cameroon after the Cameroonian authorities shut down the 2 camps.
Their arrival to Nigeria's soil from crisis-ridden Central African Republic CAR looks to have given them a fresh breath of air. The returnees had escaped into Cameroon and have been under the custody of International Organization for Migration, which facilitated their evacuation after the Cameroonian authority shut down the 2 camps provided for them 2 years ago.
I will buy goods from Nigeria to go to Central Africa and sell it to the consumer. But this time around, while they are in Nigeria, in Central Africa, they are Balaka Basin started to kill their somebody while I losing theirs. All my goods while I'm out to return my country.
About 199 of them, not all Nigerians, are received by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and other security outfits in Sahuda, a border town between Nigeria and Cameroon.
We are working in Kenzo since the crisis in 2014. Some TCN come back from Kenzo, and since OEM is working there, we try to manage with the embassy so that they can come back to their country. They were coming from Central African Republic, that was where they were coming from different nationalities, among Malians, Senegalians, and Nigerians also.
We recall that for the past 2 years or thereabout, there has been a conflict raging in Central African Republic, and many of our citizens that were there, they sent SOS back home that we come and evacuate them, which we did. But we could only go as far as Bangui, the capital at that time. We sent aircraft, both the Air Force and NEMA sent aircraft to go and recover the people. We brought back well over 2,000 people. However, people that were living in the hinterland and people that were living close to the border with Cameroon could not reach Bangui.
A camp for the internally displaced persons in Adamawa State is opened to provide shelter for them while they are sorted out and taken to their various states.
The Edo State Police Command has arrested 5 persons connected with the kidnapping and killing of Associate Professor of Agricultural Economics, Paul Eri, of the Ambrose Ali University, Egboma, in Edo State. In an interview with Channels Television, Edo State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Chris Ezike, confirmed that his command had been on the trail of the kidnappers since the abduction of 2 Chinese nationals in the same area. He says the police will soon catch up with other members of the gang still on the run.
Members of Igbanke community gathered to witness this strange expedition as this gang of suspected kidnappers led the way to the remains of one of their victims, Professor Paul Eri, who was abducted on the 16th of June 2015.
Go inside that way. Go inside. Wait.
One of the suspects tries to explain the cause of death of Professor Eri.
I demand that the man they shout for night. Now he send out people say this man say they shout. Say people want to go hunting. See them hear the noise or make it go tie him out. Okay. For some time now I come tell and say make it go lose and say you know hear the man noise again. Now you go when your guy come now say the man not make shake again, not even breathe again. So all of us we went to that place. When we reach there, because see the man don't give up.
Edo State Commissioner of Police Chris Ezike says the Igbanke community had been on his watch list.
When 2 Chinese nationals were kidnapped around Igbanke, it became quite obvious to me that Igbanke was a flashpoint. You can't just be kidnapping from Igbanke. So we designed an intervention mechanism, and it's less than 1 month now we put that intervention. It successfully led to the arrest of 5 people, and through systematic interrogation and investigation, we've got to know that some of them were principal participants in the kidnap and killing of Professor Paul.
He says the long arm of the law will catch up with the other kidnappers who are still on the run.
Like I said, we have 5 in custody, 3 to go. And by the special grace of God, we will stop at nothing until these people are rounded up.
With this assurance from the police, the message to perpetrators of evil is that there will be no hiding place.
Over now to business news on the News at 10 with Anne Nwaudo.
Hello and welcome to Business News. Multi-billion-dollar lending to private sector investors in the Nigerian electricity market may have impacted at least 9 commercial banks. Reports say the central bank is looking closely into the books of some 9 banks whose credit exposure to power generating and distribution companies may have significant impact on their balance sheet positions. Nigerian banks have lent aggressively to power sector investors in the past few years, especially during the privatization of the government electricity assets, while Nigeria's transition electricity market has been impacted by a spate of vandalization of gas pipelines, tariff structure, bill collections, and some 26% decline in naira value. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria says that many steel plants in the country are currently operating below 30% of their capacity. MAN's Director General, Mr. Femi Ogunmefun, says that 4 local steel firms have been shut down in the past few years, while some are still on the verge of closing shop. Stakeholders in the steel industry say over 100 billion naira, which had been invested into the nation's economy, is currently at the verge of collapse. The industry experts say that the industry requires an intervention fund of about 50 billion naira with single-digit interest rates to revive it, while the government should lead local content policy to increase demand. Now let's see how markets across Africa fared during the week. The single stock exchange for French-speaking West Africa, that's the BRVM, based in Abidjan, the Ivorian capital, was the best performing in the region this week, posting a 1.7% return. Nigeria, the largest market, reported a 2.02% decline, and Ghana was down by the same margin. The largest exchange on the continent, that's the JSE Group, posted a 1.2% gain in the week, while Zimbabwe's industrial index recorded a 0.7% decline. In East Africa now, the Nairobi Securities Exchange finished in red, down 3.3%, while Tunisia posted a 1.2% decline, and that's in North Africa. Egypt ended flat. Morocco saw a 1.7% shaved off its index value. Overall, Africa's frontier markets, as measured by the Morgan Stanley Capital Index, fell 1.2% this week, bringing its year-to-date decline to 16.2%. And that's it on Business News for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwaudo. Gimba will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
Next to the news at 10, Sergio Aguero scores the fastest goal, 5 goals haul in the English Premier League history. That's on Sports News. Stay with us.